feature preview. To our external collaborators and community members, thank you for joining us. The purpose of the feature preview is to share and discuss the new developments and features that are coming in the next Renku release, coming over the next couple of weeks. The purpose of this meeting is also to create a shared space for interested community members to meet the team and to learn about our approach to developing Renku. So just to set expectations, this is not a polished presentation, but rather a behind-the-scenes look at the features presented by the people who have built them. This meeting is also our actual live team meeting. So some of the Renku team is also seeing the final versions of these features for the first time along with you. And though discussions will at times dive into a fairly technical level, we also welcome questions from the community. Okay, so today the features that we're going to demo we have a couple. One is supporting called DOI-based data sets, so you can import data from places like Zenodo can connect them to your Renku projects. We have a feature for being able to share session launch links to help people get directly into comments, and even parameterizing those with data. Some new functionality, additional functionality for helping people migrate projects from 1.0 to 2.0. And then we have two features around our, one of the really big topics, which is our new code-based environments. We have one feature that is improving the UX, the user interface around code-based environments, and then a second one extending code-based environments so that you can create environments that not only have VS Code as a front end, but you can alternatively choose Jupyter and maybe R, depending on when we get that one released. Okay. Are you okay to go first?
Yeah, I can go first and talk to you about the support for DOI. Let me make this a little bigger. Yeah, so for supporting DOIs, we actually had to add support for that in our backend first. So Laura worked on adding support for DOI in Rclone. We have our own branch for now, but hopefully we can manage to push all the changes upstream. That requires a slightly longer process because the Rclone maintainers need to review it. So hopefully it will happen soon. But we can already use that since we have our own branch. So once we introduced the support on the backend, then we decided to change a little bit the user interface. So technically, you could also create a local data connector for DOIs, but that will result in a bunch of potentially similar DOIs imported in multiple places, and with a bunch of permission to handle that is unnecessary. So we decided to introduce a new concept. So these global, we call them global connectors. And for now, we just support DOIs. So in the interface, we require users to copy paste the DOI for adding one. And the main difference from a technical point of view is that there is no namespace associated to it. So you can import a DOI, then we create the data connector for you. And every user who tries to use the same DOI will basically get the very same result. So on a practical level, that means that here is an example. So we imported already something. You cannot edit this DOI. So once you import it, then we automatically get the name. We get a bunch of other metadata, so most notably the keywords and the description. And then something that might be a little annoying for the user is that we automatically set the mount point based on the name of the data set and the DOI. This will probably change in the future because this problem affects all the data connectors. So if you didn't create or if you cannot edit, you don't have permission on the data connector, you cannot change the mount point, but users might want to do something different in their own project. But apart from that, the global data connector should work this very same way for users. Here in this project, I already imported a bunch of different data connectors to show you some differences. Group data connectors and user data connectors, it's something we had for a long time. And recently we also introduced support for the project data connectors. So the difference is that in this case, the data connector is bound to the project, so the permission for the projects count. And in the case of global data connectors, so DOI, the visibility is always public. So once you import it, it's available for everyone. So importing is as simple as copy pasting a DOI. Keep in mind that this interface is sort of temporary, so we plan to change it very soon because now we can also search for data connectors. So we can try to do something smarter here and show you already the existing data connectors for some DOI. But for now, there is this additional tab, so you will need to click here. And then we can just copy paste this example. So you paste the DOI here, you import it, and after a while it should appear down here. So yeah, the list of properties is pretty similar to most of the other data connectors. We have preliminary support for keywords here, and that we will extend to also the other type of data connector. And everything else is pretty much the same. So you will have an identifier. You can also copy paste these to another project if you wish using the link data connector section. Well, now here it will fail because we already have it, but yeah, it's the same process you can do with any other data connector that has a full identifier. Yeah, and apart from that, I think it's worth mentioning that DOIs can come from a bunch of different sources. So here we have an example from dataverse.harvard.edu. Here we have something from zenodo.org. The point is that we don't support all the existing DOIs, but it depends on the service that is storing them. So if you copy paste a DOI that we do not support, then you will get an error. And if we do support it, then you will see here the source. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I mean, just as a note, it's only for public open access data.
Yeah, there are some datasets that actually require credential to access the details, and we do not support them for now.
Maybe we can show how, like, some examples of. I can take the screen.
Sure.
Or like how you find the data set and add it.
Maybe while Flora's getting set up, the copy there says import data, but we're not, I think it's important to point out that we're not actually copying any data over. We're streaming it on demand, right? It's not like we're copying the data set into Renku.
Right, yeah. So can I
Just connect.
Yeah.
Access, connect. Mount. Import implies that we're taking the whole thing.
So
Yeah, that's a good.
if we take, for example, the nodal, we grab data set. So how to find the DOIs? So usually there are boxes on the right. So here we can see it's the data set with multiple versions. So here they have this site, all versions, DOI. So if you always want the latest version of the data set, you can use this one. Here. And that will link to, that will be our data set. And it will always mount the latest files. But you can also use any of these DOIs. They're just resolved to different versions. And also, you can also find like the current version as a DOI badge. So that's how you find the DOI for Zenodo. So Lorenzo also mentioned Dataverse. So if we go,
And you have to paste the DOI link, the DOI itself, not the Zenodo page
Yeah.
URL.
So on Dataverse, I think it's already filtered by data. Okay. The link to the DOI is here, or it's also very easy to paste from the metadata tab here. And now if we go here and paste. We have our data set. And so for things that work, so for Dataverse, I think, forgot if it's, yeah, here, dataverse.org. Is there a way? Yeah, I mean, so any of these places that have data or the mapping, it's easy, but if they publish DOIs, it should work the same. So we can see here metadata, there is a DOI, so that would also work for all Dataverse installations. So it's not only like the Harvard one that works, it's all of them. And similarly, Zenodo is built on top of Invenio. And so a lot of data repositories from Invenio work. Just need to make sure it's a repository with data sets that are published as DOIs. Some of them are like this one. So if I pick data set, this is, yeah. Data. Where did it? Here.
At the bottom.
Yeah. Yep. So that should cover a lot of places with data sets. I mean, it's not everywhere, but if people have a lot of, I mean, strongly ask for more, I think it's not too hard to see if, I mean, if the platform hosting the data set has some form of standardized API, we can think about working on adding that to our clone. And so yeah, it was mentioned that this is built by extending the functionality of our clone. So I can also try to show, what do I have it here? I don't know if it's going to be but here I have the version of our clone we are using. And
Zoom in a little
yeah,
bit.
I will zoom in.
I think it's also important to note that this version of our clone is only available on, like, it's not the official version yet.
Yeah, but we build, I mean, like the code is also still, I mean, it's our fork, but it's
Sure, it's just if you want to try this at home, it will not work.
Oh, yes.
Unless you go to the Renku fork of our clone, download our clone from there and then use it.
And so one thing we can see is like how configurations work. I think this. And what's nice is that how to set up like the R clone configuration is just saying it's a DOI and giving the DOI. And from there, you can use some R clone commands. One that is nice is this kind of interactive console thing, where you can see the file of a data set. And so, I mean, so this our current thing is what we use in the session. So that's why, like, if you are a bit more like, oh, I want to do the same locally with my terminal, you could get our own. I mean, you can just download clone the Git repo and compile the Go code. Have fun. Okay.
Is there a PR to contribute this to the?
Yes, but it's not reviewed yet.
But did they say in theory they would accept it?
We asked them whether, even before we started, I think they said yes.
I think they were interested in that. Maybe it was too complex and we would have to pay them.
Yeah, maybe that's what's because they said we can do consulting for you. And we were like, no, we can do it ourselves. And they didn't respond after that, so.
Maybe a quick question. You mentioned that we can have data sets with multiple versions. Do we support having, on Renku the same data set with two different versions registered because they are global, right? I mean, if one other user.
So there are some subtleties. So one is that I can share my screen. Let's go to Zenodo. So on Zenodo and the other platforms which use Invenio, you can see that they have this versions box, and you can see that each version has a DOI. And there's also a all versions DOI. So if you use version specific DOI, you will get that version. So you will get exactly those files. And if you use the all versions, you will get the latest version. We these are published data sets, so we don't expect them to evolve like minute by minute. But so if one day there are new files and you start a session after they were published, like you will get the new files with the old versions. And the other thing is that on Dataverse,
I guess my question was more like, because the data connector is global, if someone makes like for specific version 2 and someone makes one for all versions, we are able to find on Renku the two data connectors.
Yes, it's really down to the person who pastes the DOI.
Yeah, but I mean, if I want to use, let's say, the specific version, there won't be a conflict or anything.
Yeah, because they have two different DOIs and they get two different Renku data connector identifiers.
Yeah, okay.
Thing is that on Dataverse, it's the opposite. So for now on Dataverse, we don't really handle versions. So I don't know if, this one doesn't have multiple versions, but on Dataverse, the DOI will always point to the latest version. This theory was working a bit on asking people, if you have a specific version, you could tell us which one we could work with that. But on Dataverse, because they only publish one DOI, even if you upload new files or edit, it's the same DOI. For now, we only we only give you the latest version. As is the case when you explore the data set and go to files, by default, you get the latest version.
Okay, thank you.
Next up, Shakar, would you be ready?
Yeah, I can go.
Okay. Next is the shareable session launch links that are also parameterizable. Okay. Yeah.
We have until 4 or 4:30?
4.
Okay, all right. Okay, so then let me do the following. So I'll show you some stuff, then I'm gonna explain what's happening in the interest of kind of trying to parallelize the use of time because it takes a bit of time to start a session. So I've got a session running right now. I'm assuming everyone can hear me. If you cannot hear me, let me know and I'll move closer to the mic. So this is a regular Renku session and we're looking at a notebook here with some content in there that comes from the Open Data Zurich repository. So just try to remember what you see here. It's going to be different in a second. So yeah, you see this graph. So you're not going to see this graph in a minute. So I'm going to fill this session. I have to do this because I cannot run 2 sessions with the same launcher. And I'm going to grab a different data set. This is the Open Data Zurich portal. And I'm going to customize this launch link and copy this, close this. Yeah, all right. So I'm going to let that start. And in the meantime, I'll explain what's going on.
Are you ready?
Are you ready? Seems suspicious. Oh, the other one hasn't stopped yet. Yeah, it's not going to start. You have to wait till it's stopped. All right, now it's stopped. Can be started. All right. Oh no. Something broken? No, it's okay. No, it's all right. So yeah, that should be fine. All right. So yeah, I'll let that get started. So a few things that were built in this build that kind of make this all possible. So the first thing is we support now environment variables in sessions. And this can be used for a variety of things. You can use it to customize, like a lot of environments do take values from environment variables. A lot of Renku environments take values from like, Linux shell environment variables. And that allows you to kind of set different things and customize some aspects of that. And so this can be used kind of for any environment because there are situations where certain things can be customized using shell environment variables. And now you can, on a session launcher, assign different environment variables. There's like a little UI that allows you to set these up. We can add a new one here. So, you set some value here and save it straight now. And that is the kind of first part of what was done. And the second part that builds upon that is that in the session launcher, I'm going to take a different one for a second. We make it possible to customize at start time the values of those environment variables. So this is a different launcher. It has a different value. It has the same environment variable, but a different value for it. And what we can do is if you provide this environment variable as a parameter to the link that's used to start the session, it will get overridden based on the value that you provide as a search parameter. And I'm going to show you how that works in a second. And yeah, as kind of part of this whole flow, we're developing this UI that makes it possible for you to copy launch links that can be given out to allow people to follow a link that takes them directly into a session that's getting started for them. And with this, we allow, parameterization of these links. And then now when I copy this launch link, I'm going to get one that has this data set ID value set to some value that I can specify here. Let's go visit our session over here. So yeah, this is the session that I started with the overridden value here. And this looks different. You'll see different content here. You didn't see this map before, and you didn't see these maps that were generated within the notebook before. And if you remember, there was, you do see some graphs here because parsing is the same, but the content of those graphs is. So yeah, I think that the main takeaway is that we now allow you to set environment variables in session launchers. And we allow you to override environment variables when you start the session. If you have one that's set and you do not override it, you get the value that was set in the definition of the session launcher, the one that was put here, but you can override that value at session start time.
Is that something I can only modify through the link, or can I also do it like in a custom launch?
Yeah, I did it in a custom launch.
Oh, you did, okay.
Yeah. So I went, right, yeah.
I did it through the link.
I mean, I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, you mean in this custom?
We put it in custom launch.
No, it's not in custom launch, yeah. See, that's not, you mean this thing here?
Yes.
No, it's not possible to modify that here. It's only in the link. I guess we could,
That would be useful,
in
probably.
theory, add that there, which shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, not currently possible.
You could also set the resource class in the launch.
In the launch link, right? So that was another thing that we discussed. We don't support that right now, but the infrastructure would permit it. We would just need to handle, like, we would need to come up with some convention for how you define the environment variable that represents the resource class, and then at session launch time, we could pull that out and send that to the infrastructure that starts the session.
We do that environment variable, not just like properly via the API.
Well, we have no way, like, the idea would be you would provide a search parameter to the session start link, which would represent it would represent a resource.
I think we need to be careful here because it's gonna be hard to recognize what, like, I think for environment variables, the search parameters in the start link is fine. I think we're gonna add more things that we need we've talked about proper permalinks, and I don't know that more functionality can be added to the query parameters in the start.
No, they can.
I mean, sure, with like a bunch of prefixes and stuff.
Right.
Then what happens when you have the same thing in both? There's some.
I mean, we've reserved the Renku prefix. I didn't mention this, but you cannot create environment variables that start with Renku.
No, but like,
And so
if
we
you
would
have
do
the
that.
resource class and then if you have other things, how do you know what query parameter is for a resource class and what is for environment variables?
So the query parameter is mapped directly to the environment, right?
Yeah, so I think.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like Shekhar mentioned, the Renku prefix is reserved, so we can use anything with the Renku prefix.
So I can't name environment variables that start with Renku, so we could just do Renku resource class, and then that would be handled.
I just think that it's a very brittle, like, this is already, I think this is as far in my mind as.
Possible, it doesn't mean we should do it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Exactly. Like, is it feasible? Yes, like.
I think I would do it.
Okay.
Well, just-
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's totally possible.
Is there a question somewhere?
Yeah, okay.
So I just want to add to Shaker's notes to make it clear, this is a way that people can have, for example, data catalogs that run sessions with some kind of special environment, and like descending a data set identifier so that each of the different Renku buttons in a data catalog open a specific data set.
Right, yeah, just kind of as background, the motivation for this is we're talking with someone who has a data catalog, and they are interested in using Renku potentially as a way of letting people explore their data. And the thing that needs to be solved is how do you communicate to the session which data set the user is looking at? And so this is a way that allows you to.
And I have a question. So do we discard the query parameters that do not match an environment variable?
This is also correct, yeah. So if you do not have an environment variable defined that matches one of the search parameters to the link, it will be, it'll actually result in an error.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so you'll get some notification like you provided some.
But your session won't start, like.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
session doesn't start.
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
but the other funny stuff you can do
Oh, do you want to take
Yeah.
over?
Like, we need to keep moving though. We only have 30 more minutes. Get through 3 more.
Is it will start soon, but you can do this. And now you can start VS Code with the extensions you want without having to manually go into the interface and install them. So now if you open here, I have more extensions than by default. Okay, it's also potentially very useful for
Can we add that to a global environment?
the way this works. Yes, it's just that the global environment
Property of-
Codium doesn't work that way, but we could.
Oh,
The environment variables are property of the launcher, nothing.
oh, I see. Okay. Right.
But we could rebuild them to support that script.
Will be very neat.
Right, I'm gonna keep us moving. All right, so the next feature is helping people migrate projects between Renku 1.0 and 2.0. So last build cycle, Flora, can you please unshare your screen?
Oh.
Build cycle, we released a feature so that people had a banner at the top of the 1.0 project that very easily in just like 2 clicks migrated project from 1.0 to 2.0. With this next feature, we extended that thinking ahead to when 2.0 becomes the default, which is gonna happen in about a month. That people can now also migrate the 1.0 projects from the 2.0 dashboard. So they don't have to go back into 1.0 and find the project, they can just quickly migrate them over without leaving 2.0. So Andrea, are you ready to give the demo for that?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Surprise.
So here, let's talk about what happens when we launch Renku 2.0. So as Laura mentioned, so we have already the options to migrate projects from Renku legacy. And now when we officially launch Renku 2.0, so this is like the main dashboard that the users will see. And what could happen is like the user will notice that their legacy projects are not here and don't know how to include it, migrate it, or make it visible here, so they can feel like confusion or concerns about the project. So when we work on this build cycle was to include this option here that actually fixed that question. You will list all projects, and I have this list of long list of GitLab projects. So it would list everything, and we will include like the current status. And can you select which one you want to migrate and wait for a moment to see what it's going to be migrated. This is quite similar, like it's working at the moment if we will do it from Renku legacy. So, but the difference here is like always can go back forward and choose which one you want to migrate. Let's make it an example. Once it's migrated, so can go directly to the project. See, it will create a launcher and import the code repositories, everything, and will be already listed here for quick use. Could happen that one of the users has a lot of projects and doesn't want to migrate all of them and want to get out of this banner. So we include also the dismiss option that is only possible to do once. So once you dismiss this banner, it's not possible to bring it back at the moment. But also the option will be always available in the project page in Renku legacy. So here for this case, we could dismiss the banner and then we'll be like out of this, and the project migrated will be the list. So yeah, that's in quick resume how this feature works. Is there any question? No, okay. So
I think that's our tidiest and straightforwardest of the features. Thank you, Andrea. The next one, Andrea, you're also next for the next one if you want to just start getting ready for that. So the next feature, the next 2 features all around our new meta feature for what we call code-based environment. So the ability to create an environment for your session based on an environment definition in a code repository, so from like an environment.yaml or requirements.txt. We got that functionality working last cycle, and then this cycle, we had some work left to do to bring the user interface up to speed with that new functionality. So that the user had a way of being able to manage the environments that were being built and so on. This represented a fairly complex change to a really important part of the Renku user interface. On the project page, it's how the sessions are represented. So because it's a really complex and important piece, we did a round of user research for this feature. So we ended up having 4 user tests with a variety of people who use Renku, don't use Renku, inside the STSC, outside the STSC. And we've landed on design that we're really happy with. So Andrea and Jimena were the people who were designing and building this, and I'll hand it over to you, Andrea, for the demo.
Yes. So just to in context what is exactly what changed. So at the moment we have facing like different challenges, as Laura mentioned, that when we kind of create a new build cycle, we get the status a bit confused because it's not displaying here, or let's say it exists, but it's a bit hidden here in this part. So the user can get at the moment can get the option to launch, but it's actually not very accurate when it can launch because it could be in a process of building the environment. And also another thing is like we are at the moment combining these 2 concepts about session launcher and session. So we start working on those 2 challenges. So this is the result so far. So here I will create a new environment from code. So I pick here the build, and we're going to. So one of the improvements is like we immediately get the status progress here of the build. Also, it's more clear what are the possible actions for this launcher. For example, here the user can go and examine directly the logs of this build. Also, one can cancel and include other quick actions for the launcher itself, like edit environment, some metadata like the name or the description. Another option like the last one that Checker just shown before. This is like the easy version. And the other one with the powers, that was the previous one, but we've included here. And delete the launcher. So before we have like a few options. Basically, here it was just launch, and all the options for the launchers that were hidden here, or let's say like split the different buttons. It's still there, but it's just like we have a quicker action here. The second thing how we solve it is, for example, here I have a already finished build. So once it's done, the launch button appears here, and so it's quickly to go on for this action. Here we split these 2 concepts. And in a user testing, we could realize that it's much easier even to a user to say what will be displayed for some members and what is shown for themselves. So for example, the concept of this session is this part of here is only something that I will see or I have access. Is more clear in this view that in this one where basically here we're saying that something is running, but all the concept of the launcher is gone. So this is one of the improvement here. We can see the status how changed between it's launching to it's running in a few seconds, and we split the options that applies in each of those entities. So for example, for sessions, here we can see we can shoot down the session, get the logs that are different than the logs for the build, for example. Just wait a second here. Or let's go to my next example. So while it is launching, I can show you also on our user cases. So for example, here we have a more complex project that has 3 different launchers. There could happen that in some cases our current build failed, but there is like a successful previous build. So this is now we can kind of display better what the users can do. It could rebuild this failed environment, or could just launch the previous one that was working until what's working was. So for example, this one, and also could get the logs. One of the also good improvements, like when we get this kind of errors, the users can go very quickly to see what is the logs, what problems is here. And we got a very good feedback about what can be possible to do, how quickly it can be debugged if there is a problem here. Or in this case for the logs, where we can kind of jump to the error here. Yeah, and as you see, we can make like a clear differentiation between sessions when it's running with this status color, same with this error, or previously when it was something running here. Another little improvement that was also coming from our user testing was to include here the share session launch link. And that was something that also the users, sometimes they're working here and they want to use quick share. So instead of going back and start looking here, so it was making use more quickly and available the option. And finally, I can say that for my sessions running, also here in my dashboard, my main dashboard, I can see what is going on with my sessions and have the quick options to interact with them. And yes, that's so far what we changed. Questions? Suggestions?
What does it say when it's building and you want to launch?
Sorry?
What does it say when it's building and you want to launch?
It basically is not possible to do it. Let me. I can.
But on an existing, if I have an older.
I can show you.
Rebuild.
Yeah, when you rebuild.
Okay. Let me. In this case here, we have this one. Okay, there always will be this last option there. So
okay.
It's still running here, but you're still running with the older image here. Yeah.
It's online.
Sorry?
No, just asking if there's any questions on Zoom.
Okay, yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
All right, and then our final feature is also about these code-based environments. And so with our initial release last cycle, we made the option to build Python environments from either like an environment.yaml requirements of TXT or a poetry. But we only supported a single front end, which is VS Code. And in this build cycle, we're focused on adding additional ones. So the one we're demoing today is Jupyter. And our studio is also planned. It may be coming. We're not sure if it's going to be in the coming weeks or months. It might be actual the next cycle. So Jupyter should at least for sure be coming.
What was studio? Just support for running like Rocker images with our studio.
Yeah, but
With
not
the documentation, not from
building
building
custom environment libraries for R though. Yeah, so this feature was worked on by Tasco and also our external contributors at EDF. So in Samuel, so I think Salim's will be doing the demo.
Yeah. Do you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So here I have a few code-based environments. I have 3 repositories, one with Poetry, one with Conda, one with Pip. To create one, it's actually quite simple. You go there, you select the correct repository, you select the IDE you want to use. Then next, and then just create the session launcher. Then it builds. In the meantime, there's a few things. Let's say I have a session that's built like that. So let's get there. When we launch, we can see that the kernel is directly detected. We can directly run the notebook almost directly. And something else I wanted to show. Let's have it run, and then we can, okay. So we can see that it's indeed installed from a Conda environment. Now there's something that we couldn't have working in a nice way, which is having Conda installed, but we could have pip install, and it installs and it survives session pause. So if you, okay, let's just check that here we don't have NumPy. Okay, module not found. That's normal because it's not there. So everything is defined. Oh, yeah, it's defined there. So it's not there. So we can just pip install it. And it will install. And if we restart and run everything, now we should have no error. You can see that now NumPy exists. So if we pause the session, we will see that NumPy has survived here. In the meantime, oh, okay, so the build has succeeded. Let's just launch it, and so this one is with VS Codium. So let's go back to the one that's already running here. So we have Poetry with Jupyter Lab. So again, if we run, it should work in a straightforward manner. Yep, it does. Again, if we, no, not that. Import NumPy, it will fail. So let's just go there and install it. Okay, so we restart and run. And now it works.
I don't think you need to restart.
Hmm?
You don't need to restart.
The kernel?
Yeah.
It works if you don't?
Yeah, you could even do it in the...
Yeah, if you do it in okay.
With the exclamation mark to run a shell command.
Yeah, just do that. But yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, so we can resume this one and go and see the one that just built before. So this one is again VS Codium with Poetry. So yeah, first launch, it installs some stuff, so it takes a bit more time, but afterward it's quite fast. Okay. And again, this one, the one where we already installed NumPy. Let's go and see what happens there. Okay, it should be ready. Okay, it's ready. So we had NumPy installed. Did it survive the pause? Let's see. And it did. Okay. So the way this works is by going inside the repository and fetching the definition of the environment. So users do have to maintain that, but other than that, it works directly. Right now, we are working on having our stuff do the same thing. It's a bit more complicated because it's R is a bit more annoying to install than Python. And the second thing is we have to decide what we will support for installing the environment. So we have stuff that's coming there. Okay, so I guess this is it for the environment, unless there is some questions.
Thank you, Salim. Any questions? No?
Yeah.
Do we support UV?
Okay, this is a personal question of mine. We should be able to. There is no reason why we can't. Well, there is one, which is Paketo, which we built upon to create the environments in the image. Doesn't have a UV build pack. Now Samuel, who's not there today, is working upstream with Paketo for two things. The first is simplify the workflow with Python build packs, and second is prepare the field for more environment management. Now UV, again, it could be very simple because UV could have its virtual environment directly in the mounted directory. And we would only need to have the UV executable in the image, but then we would lose the fact that it is in the image. So this is maybe questions to be answered at some other point. Any other questions? No? Okay.
And we just stop making new Python tools.
Well, I would say we're beginning to have some good ones. We didn't until now.
Well, that includes all the features coming in the next couple of weeks. Are there any last questions or comments, including from our guests on the call? Okay. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's work, everybody. Thanks.